Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Daniel Ethridge, and I'm a second-year PhD student at the University of Colorado Boulder in the United States. I presented this work last week at a conference called Audio Mostly, and I'll give you an overview of it here. Oh, the clicker. There we go. Okay, so I'm sure everyone in this room listens to music in some way. We listen to music for a variety of reasons, whether it's entertainment as a focus aid, music therapy is a large and growing field. Children and adolescents have music as a very common part of their social development. In all of these, everyone I'm here has also maybe wondered, why does music affect us? And that is also a question in the music perception and cognition community. And there's a controversy fueled. There's a controversy as to why music really affects us and induces emotion. And some believe that it's caused by a lack of understanding of underlying mechanisms contributing to musically induced emotion and physiological arousal. So, going along that avenue, for this exploratory data analysis research, we want to look at two different physiological signal groups. One, HRV, the other, galvanic skin response. For anyone who doesn't know, GSR in particular is a change in electrical properties of the skin, think skin conductance. And we're using these largely because of the links to the autonomic nervous system. One note for the parasympathetic, the features that we're using for HRV are largely parasympathetic indicators, anyway. What has been done in the past? In terms of music's effect on HRV, different noise characteristics have been examined. White noise, speech noise, traffic noise. What is the difference in effects between sedative music and excitative music? What happens when we introduce more musical stimuli or have soothing music playing? All of these different characteristics are more high level. So for this research, what we wanted to do is look at lower level audio features, the kind of features that if you're doing machine learning work in the audio domain that you might see, and see what sorts of physiological correlates we find to these. For this, we used pre-recorded data. It is known as the DEAP dataset. The dataset has 32 participants who watched 40-minute-long music video segments, and then during that as well, they had different physiological signals recorded. With that, this is a short overview of the methods. Rather simple. All we're doing is we're processing the raw data, extracting features from that from both the physiological domain as well as the audio domain, going through an iterative model building process to figure out what sorts of models we should test, see where correlations might be, and finally go through a model significance testing. The cardiac features that we looked at, as I said before, parasympathetic features such as RMSSD and SDNN. We also looked at the mean interbeat interval from the cardiac side of things. In terms of galvanic skin response, we extracted statistical features, mean, median, skew, kurtosis, as well as the root mean square, and various derivatives of all of these. For the audio features, generally we follow just a standard pipeline. This includes taking youtube.com links that the DEAP dataset provided, processing the data as you normally would in the audio domain, extracting features and normalizing, similar to how, this is a list of the audio features, and for the sake of time, I won't go too much into detail with these. If you have any questions about these features, feel free to come talk to me afterwards. In terms of the model building, as I said, now that we have our features, we need to decide what models we want to use. So we are using the audio features as different predictor variables and the physiological features as our outcome variables. To get the predictor variables, we go through two different methods, a random forest method, as well as using different functions in R that are a model selection exercise. And this suggested two different audio features, which I'll get into later. You can see them here, different changes in the audio over time of zero crossing rate and this thing called MFCC number 6. For the physiological features, again, we are going through an iterative process, testing each of the physiological outcomes against these two predictors. This process suggested that we have the natural log of the standard deviation of GSR, natural log because we had to do in pre-processing a natural log transformation for to get a Gaussian distribution on it, as well as a mean interbeat interval. Going to our model significance testing, so we used, again in R, the report package, which performs a walled t-distribution approximation on these two models that you see on the screen. And from this, we do get some significant results. Again, I do want to just clarify that this is exploratory data analysis. With this, I'm not claiming anything causal, but it is interesting to see these potentially significant correlations. So now, where does this leave us? In the audio domain, there is no agreed upon perceptual meaning for these features. So saying that one of these features is higher wouldn't necessarily mean it's like happier or more bright or anything. Therefore, since these are commonly used in the machine learning literature, our thought process was that there are patterns that each of these features are, there's patterns in the machine learning literature where these features excel in different classification tasks. So looking at those, we can potentially find different interpretations. For one of them, which was zero crossing rate, it can be an indirect estimate of fundamental frequency. It's commonly seen in instrument classification, particularly with the percussiveness of drums. And also, a higher ZCR is indicative of a more noisy signal. For the next one, these what are known as the Mel frequency capsule coefficients. Think music and speech discrimination, think speech signal processing, think timbre. And so from this, we start to develop different theories that we have. So if changes in GSR reflect sympathetic nervous system activity, then we believe that maybe more variation in zero crossing rate, in other words, less signal periodicity, more noisiness, could be increased emotional stimuli. Likewise, MOCC6 corresponds to the range of this frequency, and that shares overlap with the human voice. So, moving on for time, we came to two hypotheses. So potentially a lack of periodicity or more percussiveness, more noise in music might lead to increased physiological arousal because potentially music expectancy violations, as well as frequency variation in the human voice or voice-like tones could lead to increased physiological arousal. Moving forward with this, we want to have more data, run statistics with statistical power analyses, do a bunch of things. I'll jump to the bottom here. One thing from Diego's instruction on Monday, I really want to incorporate that into my research, these cardiac sympathetic indicator and the cardiac parasympathetic indicator. And with that, thank you very, what happened? Oh, okay, anyway, here we go, last, thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Any questions? Who might have?
Over here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So I was just curious. I mean, potentially, you can get the same response in cardiovascular system and respiration if you're listening to different types of music. Like if you think classic, jazz, rock, so they can really have different peripheral effects. Yet emotionally, they might lead to a similar state. So how would it kind of fit into your idea that there should be something unique for this?
So sort of asking about like the uniqueness across or between different genres,
exactly.
So to say. So in terms of genre, so as they are, I guess, defined in different ways, there's different musical characteristics that each genre is really identified by. Looking at these lower level ideas, I think could be a way to sort of split that apart and look at them in more of like independently. So
no, but what I imply is that there should be some invariancy, and invariancy will not be in acoustical features because those are very different across different genres. So that should be something else, right?
Sure.
And that something could be trivially probably reduced to acoustical features, probably.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's probably a good idea to look. I'd love to talk more about with you. I don't know if I have a.
Yeah. Just to tell you one cool example, because in our institute we have Tom Fritz. Probably you know him, a creator of gymming. Anyway, a researcher in neuroscience of music. So they have studies also showing that if you play some of the very difficult instruments, then what happens is that people start appreciating music more if they played it and they know how hard it is. So there is some embodiment also involved into this. So there are lots of features there.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, but just
Yep.
this invariancy, I thought also getting rid of a little bit of a pure acoustical features.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One more question.
So nice work, Daniel. So I analyzed this data set during my PhD, and we kind of found this correlation with subjective arousal in brain high interaction. But something that I found like afterwards was that people had kind of a typical expected answer, I can say. So, for instance, I didn't find like someone who liked the metal music, for instance, that is in the data set. Like most of people dislike that, and so are you really trying to more or less focus on related to the previous questions? But do you think these physiological responses are actually like objective auditory processing, or could be like a part of subjective or?
I see.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely think it could be subjective. So, of course, like there's a bunch more dimensions that go into this. And as you said, whether or not you like a type of music, musical preference. So I think subjectivity definitely does play a part. And I think maybe an interesting question to ask is, what is the balance between nature versus nurture, potentially in a way, in terms of what somebody likes and what might be sort of more common across a group of people. So definitely the subjectivity plays a role, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see where that dividing line is.
At some point without the videos.
I definitely want to, yes. Yeah, so
because I remember one of the music videos of the metal, they were literally a suicide.
yes.
So you can like metal music, but not a suicide, you know.
That I fully agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're entirely right that the music videos in this data set are a confounding variable. Part of the reason for using this data set was in terms of the features of the RMSD and SDNN, simply having a long enough period of time that we could extract from, which in different background research I found, at least for those features, was about a minute. DEAP ended up being the best data set to fit that. So one thing that I do want to do moving forward, any data collection that I have, or that I do myself, to make sure it's audio only, as well as making sure that recording times are sufficient for this kind of HRV extraction and feature analysis.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.